My name is Good Ninja, OG over here from Player Essence, and welcome to another Pete Nintendo Switch and gaming news video. Today, we've got some pretty juicy information. The internet kind of blew up last night / this morning with this information when it comes to Bandai Namco potentially developing Metroid Prime 4, or at least more information or more news of that. That is not the first time that we've heard that. But shout outs to DocTrey81 on YouTube. Make sure you guys all go subscribe. He's the one who kind of saw this and kind of put it out there on a video, and we've had multiple outlets pick up on that since then. So apparently, according to this LinkedIn profile of a lead designer at Bandai Namco Studios in Singapore, they are developing, quote, projects unannounced, which we'll talk about right now, unannounced IP, parentheses, first-person shooter / adventure exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. Then he also goes on to say Ace Combat 7, you have a VR aircraft dogfighting action simulator exclusive to the PS4 and the PS4 VR. But then you also have this one here, which is Ridge Racer 8, a drift-based high-speed car racing game exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. So that has caused a lot of people to just kind of blow up at this point when it comes to speculation, when it comes to both sides. It's not just people thinking, okay, this is going to be Metroid. I mean, that's what the consensus is that most people feel that if it's a first-person shooter / adventure exclusive to Nintendo Switch, Bandai Namco, we've heard the rumors before, that it is basically Metroid Prime 4. Although there's been a little bit of opposition on that, saying that, okay, well, if it's Metroid Prime 4, why did they say unannounced IP? You know, why did they say unannounced IP? Metroid Prime is not an unannounced IP. It's already been announced. Some people have even brought up, well, it's a year and 10 months in terms of when he's been at that, and how, like, this could be an old post, or if it's not, or they couldn't be talking about Metroid because it's not unannounced. I mean, there's just been things going back and forth. I would guess, based on this description of the game, that it's Metroid. It's Metroid in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's Metroid Prime 4. Maybe it's a different type of Metroid. We just don't really know at this point. But I can say that it's probably, I would think that it was Metroid Prime 4, but I just don't know with certainty until we actually get the results and details. Now, we'll get back to Metroid in just a bit, and we'll also follow up because Doc Trey had some other things to say because he digged a little bit deeper. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about Ridge Racer 8. So Ridge Racer 8 would be very interesting in terms of it being exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. That's not an announced game at this point, right? Unless Ridge Racer 8 has already come out, but then it wouldn't be exclusive, right? Because it's not on Nintendo Switch. So it's a new game coming to the system. Why would this be exclusive to Nintendo Switch? Ridge Racer has been pretty much synonymous with PlayStation branding. I mean, we've gotten Ridge Racers on different systems. There's been Ridge Racers on pretty much all of them before. We had a Ridge Racer on the DS, I mean, back in the day. So, I mean, I don't think that it would be like too out of place to come to Nintendo Switch, but the fact that it would be an exclusive, I think that would spur a lot of PlayStation fans that were pretty much Ridge Racer kind of like gained popularity on, and we have the infamous Ridge Racer from Kaz Hirai back at E3 2006. So I just don't feel like, man, that'd just be such a weird type of thing to announce, like, okay, yeah, we're bringing back Ridge Racer, and guess what? It's exclusive to Nintendo Switch, unless Nintendo kind of paid out some money in order to get that type of game. So, I mean, that's definitely a possibility there. Would not doubt that too much on it. I mean, Nintendo doesn't have many racing games on the Nintendo Switch at this point. Ridge Racer, for those who don't know, is not like a realistic game. It's like a sliding, drifting type of deal, as you can say here, drift-based, high-speed car racing game. That's basically what it is, but it's like your car's like on ice skates all the time. It's like you are ice skating all over the place. So it's definitely not like a simulation like Forza or something like that. So if you're expecting that, don't expect that, because you're not going to be happy with it. So it is definitely arcadey, very unrealistic at times, but I know my buddy Andre in college loved Ridge Racer. That was like his #1 racing game, and I watched him play it all the time. There's a lot of cool things with the game. So if it came to Nintendo Switch, that would be great. I remember playing the game back on the DS. I didn't think it was that good, but the DS version obviously wasn't good. I've played the games before, I think like on PS3, that's the one that he played a lot, and I think it's okay, but I'm just not the biggest on racing games, unless it's like Mario Kart or something like that, to where like you have like battle items, things like that. So overall, this does seem very likely with some of this stuff here. We still need to wait for the official details, but yeah, man, I mean, it looks pretty cool. Now, another thing that Doc Trey also brought up, there was a producer and game director, translator as well, from Bandai Namco, according to Doc Trey. He's been looking up more on LinkedIn, and this guy actually used to work at DNA, and that is the company that Nintendo's working with when it comes to their online and everything like that, and their mobile titles. He worked there before, from August 2014 to December 2015, so a year and 5 months. He was a director slash producer, and now he's over at Bandai Namco Singapore, you know, working on something there. So there's some more connections when it comes to games, or when it comes to what Nintendo's doing, Bandai Namco, and of course DNA. So that's another thing to where there's a link in terms of proof. And at this point, he's a producer of a famous IP title. So I mean, there's just a lot of things that are kind of going on there when it comes to it. I mean, there's a lot of evidence showing that this is something big. It could be Metroid Prime 4, like I talked about, could not be. We just have to wait and see what's going on here. But great job by Dog Trey as far as digging up all this different information here. So let's talk about if it was going to be Metroid Prime 4 and kind of what's going on there, because I've heard a number of people bring up how this wouldn't be a good idea, or they're nervous about Bandai Namco developing a Metroid Prime game. And I'm like, why are you nervous about Bandai Namco developing a Metroid Prime game? In my opinion, that makes absolutely no sense to be nervous about a developer who has made multiple big, huge games on systems for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and now they're getting into Nintendo Switch, and they're going to be making something. Why would you be nervous at all? Bandai Namco is actually much bigger than Retro Studio. That doesn't mean that they make better games, but overall, Bandai Namco has a ton of experience when it comes to programming, when it comes to coding, and when it comes to making quality games and making good games in general. They made Super Smash Bros. Along with Sora and Nintendo. I mean, they were the main programmers and force behind that game when it comes to what they need to do. Now, the direction of the game, how the game is set up, that's going to be set up by Tanabe and Nintendo's team, and programmers and everything are going to be helping with Bandai Namco. So I think some people don't understand exactly how the dynamics work. You have people who are producers, you have people who are the creative leads and all of that, and Nintendo usually with their titles, especially if they're somewhat outsourcing or going outside of the normal confines of Japan, always have producers and people who look over the project, and that's Tanabe. That's the guy who's already been on all the Metroid Primes with Retro Studios. He would look after it. They would do video conferencing. You know, those are the things that I don't know why people would be worried at all, because Tanabe already said that he has a team back in Japan, and if Bandai Namco does turn out to be the developers with this here, it's going to be Tanabe, who's already done Metroid Prime beforehand. So a lot of people don't actually dig a little bit more. They just hear Bandai Namco like, okay, well, it's all Bandai Namco. It's going to be like the people who made Naruto or something like that. They don't put two and two together that Nintendo does this. Even when it was Retro Studios, Nintendo did this. Like, yes, Retro had some creative control, but at the same time, it was basically Nintendo who told them, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this. And they were the main programming force, the might behind it, bug fixing, making sure the controls feel good, all of that. And Bandai Namco is more than capable of listening to orders in terms of what they need to do and all of that. And they have some great developers on the staff in terms of what they can do and what they can bring to a game. We saw that with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, but mainly what Super Smash Bros., yes, it was developed by Bandai Namco, but it was Masahiro Sakurai was the one that was pulling all the strings when it comes to what this game is going to be, the creative lead in terms of what it's going to have, you know. So those are the things that people need to realize when it comes to it. Like, you need a good team of people that program, that won't necessarily bring up different ideas and all that. All they do is like, okay, this is what I need to do. All right, I got my orders. That's how I do something. So that's kind of how I would think Metroid Prime 4 would be. It'd be Tanabe, it'd be the leadership there, maybe a producer from Bandai Namco, a creative lead from there. They'd be conversating on how they're going to do things, and then they get it done. So I'm not worried at all, and I actually think it's a good idea, Bandai Namco, in terms of that, because I think that you're going to cut down on the potential language barriers and the potential issues in terms of things there when it comes to Metroid Prime. They're right there in Japan with them, and I feel that it's going to be a great game if it does turn out to be that, because Metroid Prime has always been good, and I don't really think you could mess that gameplay up. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on with this one, but I do feel that Bandai Namco, based on all the different stuff that we've learned here, is developing Metroid, but I could be wrong on that, of course, and we'll have follow-up reports if that's the case. Ridge Racer is just a whole nother thing. I don't know what else I can possibly say about that when it comes to Ridge Racer, but this is interesting overall. So what do you guys think about Bandai Namco, this whole thing here, how this is kind of blown up? And once again, shout out to DocTrey81. I will make sure to have a link to the video and his channel. You guys all go subscribe to the dude. He's really cool. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of Player Essence across certain webs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon and YouTube live gaming page. Consider supporting Player Essence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emotes via YouTube sponsorship. So check out the link in the description below. Consider supporting Player Essence right here on YouTube. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to Player Essence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you for the next video. Peace.